You're listening to the Yalok Emmet channel on Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. It is June 1st, 2023. My title for this lesson today is Exodus Again. So I'm asking the question, is there going to be a second Exodus like so many people say, which to me I find really odd, because if the Most High delivered his people in the time of Moses, why is he doing it again? Can't he get anything right? See, if man doesn't get stuff right, then man is sinning. But this is God. One can more understand that, although it's not good. But this is God. So is God displaying to us that he cannot get stuff right? But this is God. He's acting the same as men act, as puny humans act. So it's like a second Exodus. It's like a deja vu thing where God is having to do this whole deliverance all over again. And remember, in the book of Judges, they had so many captivities, and he kept having to deliver them. You know, this looks strange. This looks strange. You see these elites running the world, and even if you look at America with their powerful military presence all over the earth, it doesn't seem to me like they're going to go into a country, not talking about their final last days war when they're going to be dealt with, but just all along. They're not going to just go in a country and have themselves be beaten up after they took over a country, then they're beaten up repeatedly, and they're still staying in there in that country, and they're beaten up. They call the shots. In fact, you can't mess with America. So you see how long it has taken for a couple countries to come together to present a real challenge to America. They have to make such strong missiles, powerful weapons, and still that's not even enough, because the Bible is saying that they're going to be sabotaged. So those that were at peace with thee. So there's going to be a shaking of the hand saying, come through, to try to pull off the stuff that the weapons alone don't seem to be able to handle. So America, they're just going to do their business, and you're going to see them doing it well and well and well. But God's doing his Exodus in the time of Moses, and he has to do it again. And he did it many times in the book of in the book of Judges, to deliver his people from all these Mesopotamian kings. And it's like he's just in the business of deliverance. So there must be multiple captivities. You must get your butt kicked many times if you're an Israelite, and the excuse is that you are sinners. You keep sinning and breaking the commandments. So then we get this final promise that afterwards he won't let us sin against him anymore, and so on. But the prophets still go on to say that people are still going to sin. So which is correct? But I want to, in talking about this, asking this question, Exodus again, because they're saying there's going to be a second Exodus. Let's read here from Exodus 15, chapter 16 to 18. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm they shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over which thou hast purchased. So God's purchasing people out of Egypt, ransoming them from the furnace of affliction, and he paid a price, but he has to buy them back in end times, because you're going to go into slave ships and captivity, and no man shall buy thee, no man shall redeem thee, but you can only be redeemed by the Most High when he comes for a supposed second Exodus. So he's going to buy you again when he already purchased you in Moses' time from the Egyptians. Now, if God has purchased you in the time of Moses to do a first-time Exodus, which they never told us it's a first-time Exodus, they just said it's the Exodus. But now, since they're saying second Exodus, I guess it should have been written in the scriptures that this is the first-time Exodus. But if God has purchased you, who has the right to take that away? You're going to say, well, the scripture says that the Moses said, you have sold yourself. So now he's got to buy you back. So now God has purchased you. He pays the price. He's got the title, the deed, the claim on you. And you do something and sold yourselves to somebody else by your sinning. And that rips up the title that God has. So he has to spend more money to buy you. Can't you see? This is just a story. It's just man's thinking to express something. God's title on you should be, let's say it's in heaven and it's got it in some vault up there. If you do anything on earth, even not just simply worshiping idols, but worshiping the devil, physically worshiping the devil himself, how does that change the title locked up in the vault in heaven so that it does not have meaning anymore? Verse 17, because that ended up saying thou hast purchased. Verse 17, thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance. But he planted them already in the land of Israel. After they came out of Egyptian bondage and went into the wilderness and so on, he planted them there. And they were going up to the mountain of the Lord in Jerusalem to offer sacrifices and praise the Lord, and God was with them there. Right there in Jerusalem, he already planted them, even though it seemed that they were in Shiloh first, and then I guess God decided Shiloh isn't working out, so let's try Jerusalem. But the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Lord, which thy hands have established. Look at established. Kun, H3559, a word which means to be firm, be stable, be established, to be set up. So God set them up, and somebody, something, some experience on earth can take it down. Even though he says the earth, the world has been established and set up already, and its foundations cannot be destroyed. But he sets up and establishes his people in a land. His greatest work, his masterpiece work in the realm of humans. Because let's say the world is in the realm of created things, other general created things. But now he does his masterwork with his people and establish them, but they can be moved. They can be destroyed and taken over by Babylonians and Assyrians and so on in captivities, and even by their sin. So does sin have power over what God has and over God's ability, magical, powerful, awesome ability to establish? Establishing can be threatened by sin, even if it is God who is doing the establishing. But your foot should be firm if it is established by the word of God. So how is it that you as a mortal, even if you call yourself an Israelite, can do something to overturn, usurp, knock over and topple it, the establishment that God has done? I'm asking the question, will there be an Exodus again? Or just simply an Exodus period, since it did not happen in Moses' time according to what I see for myself in the scriptures. So to be kun, to be established, to be stable, to be secure, be enduring, be fixed, and to be securely determined. It was determined you will live in Israel, in Jerusalem, in the mountain of the Lord when you come out of Egypt. That has been determined. So God's determination has been thwarted by the sin of man, the choices of the Israelites. So you can make a choice that can topple what God does, even though God has securely fixed it and determined it to be so. But you can unravel and undo what God has prepared and done, because kun also means to prepare, right? Establish, to prepare, be ready. So God's ready to set up this people, and he has predetermined that this will happen and has put divine preparation into the people being in Jerusalem, but they turn around and do something and it topples the whole thing. Maybe religion is not quite what we have been taught. Because I'm not sure who over the past 100 or 200 years determined to do something strong enough, because idolatry of the Israelites was very strong in God's presence. So who could have done something very strong to topple America when they went to take over another country or take their resources? Who would have dared to do that? But Israelites could just pull it off easily with God. And God is above America and above man in his power and his strength and his preparation which he placed into it. America prepared a plan to take over this country, take their all their resources or whatever, and nobody can do anything about it. All this time. But the Israelites just casually say, we'll just go see what the Babylonians are doing. What are they worshiping? What are they into? What the Assyrians are. And God can't stop that. Verse 18, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. But it looks like he only reigned in their lives for a certain time in Israel, and then they had to go into Babylonian and Assyrian captivity. You don't have to agree, but I hope you will, for the first time in your biblical studies throughout your life, I hope you will at least think. Because God put that capacity in you. So how many times will he purchase the same people? How many times will he establish a dwelling place to dwell in forever? Even Jesus asked, can the blind lead the blind? So if somebody is blind and they're leading you and you are blind, you can't see, so they're helping you, and you both are bumping into stuff, you're going to wonder, this is what I do myself in bumping into all these things, into the wall, into the gate, into the whatever, the post. So can this person also see? Because they're doing the same thing I do. Can the blind lead the blind? Now remember, this song, as they're saying, is going to be a second Exodus, another Exodus. It's like God is going to do it all over again. So you wonder, could he see at first when he did the first Exodus and promised that this is well done? Now he's going to do it over. Like the song I remember, doing it and doing it and doing it well. Right? Can the blind. Now if we are blind, we do not get to where we want to be. But Yahweh does not get us there either. So is he blind? Because he's having to deliver us again out of the hands of wicked people. So Exodus after Exodus, captivity after captivity, prophet after prophet, deliverance after deliverance, Bible version after Bible version, and God still tried to do it. Some say Jerusalem, the city of God, has been one of the most war-ravaged cities on earth. But it houses the presence and magic of God. Does Yahweh know what he is doing? You might think something is wrong with what I'm saying, but the people in the Bible challenged God. But he is planning another Exodus, a second Exodus, some Bible teachers tell us. And the way I see it is, if China is rewriting the Bible, will there be an Israelite in 40 years or 400 from now saying that a third Exodus is on the way because those other Israelites woke up after the deception of China's new Bible, revised Bible, and realized, oh, we're in the Exodus. So let's say he delivered in Moses' time and he delivered in from America, and now he's going to deliver us from China or the New World Order. A third Exodus is underway, and the third Exodus teachers The third Exodus, China Bible teachers in the future are going to come out with tons and tons of scriptures in some language that will not be Hebrew, but they will tell you the original scrolls and the original Torah was written in Chinese. It was the first language, some Chinese language. And they will make up that new language, and the new Bible will be written according to that new language. And they will give you the precepts in that ancient Chinese language that they say is the original language of the text, and prove to you that a third Exodus is coming. So, will there be an Exodus again? Or did it ever happen to begin with? Think again, people. If there was an Exodus in the time of Moses, why is it happening all over again? If God does well what he does, doing it and doing it and doing it well, doing it and doing it and doing it well. Hey, so you got to keep doing it over and over again. Or was this simply prophecy in the time of Moses in the book of Exodus? Getting dramatic with the way the story is played out. Because that's how the ancients envisioned the stuff. That's how they made prophecy. That's how they saw the future. They called it in by being elaborate and detailed. Like when they're saying you doing learning meditation, try to be specific. Yeah, at first you might not be specific, but as you zone in and you get better and better, you call in the things. So if they wrote it down like that, then it would not mean that the Exodus took place, but that they are envisioning the stuff for the future and getting so detailed as to how it's going to play out to make sure it is solidified in the spirit realm. But it is in our time that it will take place. That is my view. Because if God keeps hitting his toe and stumbling to deliver his people properly, then will you go with him this next time in the wilderness if he does not know what he is doing? Because you got to keep doing it over and over, right? Exodus back then, Exodus in the book of Judges repeatedly from each Mesopotamian captivity, and Exodus again in our time now. It's like God is just doing it and doing it and doing it well, doing it and doing it. So in the wilderness back then, in the time of Moses, he threatened and killed Israelites in the wilderness under Moses, sent even earthquake and just killed them. He wanted to wipe out even all of them, and Moses had to stop his madness, saying the nations will laugh at you if you do this thing. Don't be trying to make a new nation out of me. Back up, Moses, let me slay them all. Get rid of them, and I will make a new nation out of you. Moses said the people are going to laugh at you from the other nations. But God had this all prepared, only to find along the way that he had to kill off some of them and then decide, I'm just going to kill the rest of them. All of them, and just make this thing all over again with you, Moses. And now he has threatened once again in modern times to kill off other Israelites in the wilderness after you're delivered from America and present-day Babylon and so on, and wherever else you live, to kill off other Israelites in the wilderness in our time, just because they eat a rat or a mouse. In Isaiah 66:17, they that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens, that's idolatry and so on, false worship, behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. So he's threatening to kill off more Israelites again, the same way he went through and he killed them in the wilderness in supposedly Moses' time. He's going to kill them again just like that, because he's doing it and doing it and doing it well, doing it and doing it and doing it well. See? These are just my thoughts, because I got questions, because Bible teaching is strange. It's better and simpler if you just accept that the Bible is a storybook. It's a storybook, and it is outlining some stuff to tell you what is coming. And it gives very vague history of the past. Like telling you Adam was the first man and Eve the first woman. But then when we look more and more, even Bible teachers more and more are coming up now, and researchers and so on, and lots of scholars and whatever they call themselves, are telling you people were living on earth for hundreds of thousands, millions, some even say billions of years. But as a storybook, it tells you Adam and Eve started this whole thing. The simplest way to approach it is to understand that the Bible is a storybook telling you of the restarting of civilization and so on, and cramming millions or billions of years of history into a few pages. Exodus again? Is that what you think? Yalak Emmett channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. Thanks for listening.